I almost feel guilty for taking my mask off. Right. Good morning. I was just mentioning to some of the front row seat audience that I feel guilty and almost out of place having my mask off. Mike is out of town, so I have the privilege of stepping in for him to kick off a fireside chat here at the end of September. Hard to believe that we are starting October and are going to have 80-degree weather this weekend and into next week. So enjoy very much the warm weather still with us. We have a full agenda for today. So without further ado, let me review the agenda and we'll get underway with a variety of presenters and information. So we're going to change the order a little bit. Typically, we do our new employee and new resident introductions towards the end. However, some of the staff have requested to start earlier so they can get back to work. So we will first have Celerina up from HR to introduce new team members, and there are several. We're so excited to see continued good momentum with being able to get some hiring. So kudos to HR. And then Valerie will join us to introduce some new residents to the community. And I'm very excited that Andrew and I will be talking to you about a new program that we're bringing in with the Wellness Department. I'll provide some updates on influenza vaccines, the COVID boosters, and some Medicare enrollment information. Nancy will come up for a resident council update. Brian will share some security updates and an earthquake drill coming. And Charlene and Ruth Ann on philanthropy, Joan on communications. Eli will join us to update you on the campus improvements in process. And last but not least, Jeff will be here with some food services updates. So without further ado, Celerina, please come on up.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see all of you. All right, well, I do have some announcements for you guys. Of course, I wanted to tell you guys all about our new hires that I've got a chance to onboard who are coming to help us out here at Horizon House. So the first person I have, she's gonna be working in assisted living. So I don't know if you guys will see her all that often, but if you do see her around, give her a big wave. Her name is Laura Foster. And so she's gonna be coming to us as an elder care assistant. And then next we have Arker Ray Joseph. So Arker actually moved up here from New York. And so if you guys see Arker, please give him suggestions of places that he can check out to frequent and experience. He's been asking me, I've been giving him suggestions. And so if you guys can help me to also give him suggestions, he's a really good, great addition to Horizon House. And I think you guys will see that he's a great joy. He's also gonna be working with us in assisted living, but I see him rocking around often in the common areas. So you might get the chance to run into him. And then next we have Katrina Henderson. So Katrina is going to be our new social worker here at Horizon House. And so you guys, she just started with us a couple of weeks ago. And so I hope you guys get a chance to get well acquainted with her. And then I also have Megan Hessel. Wow, assisted living is getting all the people. And so Megan Hessel is also going to be an elder care assistant in assisted living. And then we have a new diet aide joining us for food services. His name is John Estrella. John has been with us for about a month now. And so if you guys see John, go ahead and give him a big wave. And then one of my newest team members that I have, her name is Alam Dubaid. She's the Life Enrichment Associate. And so she's going to be coming to us with great suggestions, great ideas of all of the activities that we can do with our residents here. And then last but not least of my new hires, I have Christy Cassis, who is our new EVS tech. And she joins us in the afternoon time. And so if you guys see her, go ahead and give Christy a big wave. And then briefly, I have just some brief announcements for you all. So if you guys have been coming down to the B1 level, I'm pretty sure you guys have been seeing that there has been some confusing stuff happening in the clinic. You come in one corner, it just looks like there's a whole bunch of chairs and tables, and then you're seeing all these new faces that are taking over the clinic space. So I just wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on, because I'm pretty sure you guys are wondering, why is HR in the clinic space? So HR, ma'am, is human resources. And so Human Resources has relocated to the former clinic space. We are going to actually be moving there, and that will be our new location for our new office. And so last month and this month, we have been sharing the space with Infinity Rehab. And they've been so great and so patient with us for allowing us to come over and kind of take over their space. But Infinity Rehab will be getting a new place. They are going to be taking our old HR office, which is right next to the gym. And so that will be coming sometime in October for you guys. And then also our renovations will probably be coming at the end of October, early November, as we go ahead and renovate the new HR space. And then last but not least, I have some activities, some events that are coming up that I wanted to share with you guys for the month of October. One being Safety and Wellness Fair. And so we are going to have some vendors on site. We're going to be giving some classes. And then we're also going to be doing prizes. Those classes are going to be on different various topics, appropriate hand washing, bloodborne pathogens. It's stuff that we actually have our employees to train on. And so now that we're getting ready for safety and wellness, we figured why not have some of our vendors come out and give us some refreshers on how we can be safe, especially when we're entering into cold and flu season. And then I have Diversity Week. This is a new initiative that HR wanted to go ahead and roll out with our residents and with our employees. And so we want to go ahead and introduce our residents and employees to different cultures through food, music, dance, and education. If you, whether you're a resident or an employee, would like to participate by whether telling your story, teaching us about your culture, your heritage, or providing a picture of your traditional garments, please come see us in HR. We would love you guys to participate. And thank you so much for your time. And I'm now going to pass it over to Valerie.
Good morning. Welcome. I will apologize in advance for all the Mariners fans in the audience. We know that that was a very long game last night, but I stayed till the end and you're welcome. It was a lot. It is my pleasure to introduce some of our newest residents that we've welcomed to our community recently. They're all live today for a change. So thank you for joining us. Your photos will be displayed, but as I introduce you, if you wouldn't mind just standing up so everyone can see your lovely faces in person, that would be fantastic as well. So first up, Henry Matthews and Susan Platt. Poor Henry just got here and got settled, and I'm asking him to stand already. Henry was born in the UK and has lived in numerous places, both in the United States and abroad. He has worked as an architect, professor, and architectural historian, and is the author of multiple publications. Henry belongs to the Society of Architectural Historians and ACLU and enjoys traveling and history. Susan was born in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. She earned her BA, MA, and PhD, worked as a writer and professor of art history, and still writes for 2 local publications, the Leschi News Art Access, and her own blog and website, Arts and Politics Now. your free plug. Susan belongs to the College Art Association and International Association of Art Critics. Her interests include advocating for local political candidates, feminist issues, homelessness, and opposing racism. She enjoys music, theater, and dance. Welcome to Horizon House, Henry and Susan. Whoops, excuse me. Carly Swift. Carly was born and raised in Seattle. College took her to Los Angeles, where she recently relocated back to Seattle from. A long career in the communications field has provided her with the opportunity to work in a variety of settings, from a global financial investment firm to the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County. From stocks and bonds to dinosaurs, as she puts it. Carly enjoys traveling, walking, hiking, graphic art, architecture, and the performing arts. She joins a long line of family members who have made Horizon House their home, including her mom and stepfather, aunt and uncle, and sister Alice Melanie. Welcome to Horizon House, Carly. Bill Kepper. Bill was born in Boston. He earned his BS in food science at the University of Massachusetts and did post-grad studies at Wichita State. He worked as a tech service manager and served as a captain in the Air Force. Bill belongs to mature friends and enjoys traveling, history, books, and sports. Welcome to Horizon House, Bill. And Alec Biskin. Alec was born in Tacoma. He earned a BA in history from Yale and his Master of Public Administration from Harvard, and worked as a banker and publisher. His interests include Lisha, which is an ancient region on the coast of Southwestern Asia Minor, medieval Europe, and writing travel guides. Welcome to Horizon House, Alec. And that's only about half of the residents we welcome, but in the interest of time, we'll catch up some more next month. So it's my pleasure to now turn it over to Andrew and Lori to talk about Wellness Center updates.
So I am very, very excited to share more about the Balance, Exercise, and Mobility Center, or also known as the BEAM Center. Ryan Schuler, who of course was here before Andrew joined us, he and I really worked closely to put some legs to this, and Andrew has come in and has just been a terrific addition to help move this initiative forward. This BEAM Center is going to be part of the Wellness Department, and we're going to give you a brief overview of this. Andrew and I did share this with the Wellness Committee. Actually, Ryan and I did back in July, and we have shared it again at our most recent Wellness Committee. So great support all around, and we're excited to be at this point. So we're going to first cover me briefly before Andrew shares. I'm going to just briefly talk about the goals of the program, some fall statistics, might be surprising what happens here. Some more details about the BEAM Center that Andrew would talk about in terms of some specific new equipment that we're going to be acquiring. It's in process of delivery, and some targeted programs, as well as an open house we are excited to be having for you. So the goals of the BEAM Center really is to continue our commitment to ensuring that you remain as independent and safe as possible. We want to see you continue to be able to engage in activities that you are interested in mobility, in keeping up with the pursuits. I know many of you are constantly acquiring new pursuits and new areas of interest. And it is critical to keep you as balanced and mobile as possible. It's important through the BEAM Center efforts to continue optimizing your functional abilities. I can tell you as an occupational therapist, myself and my background, we really see some significant impacts when functional abilities start to decline for any number of reasons. And of course, we sometimes do have acute medical issues that come up that can compromise functional abilities and maintaining independence with mobility, self-care, gardening, whatever those interests are, or chronic health conditions that can be progressive. And of course, falls. That's the other big reason that we see some significant decline in abilities. Speaking of falls, there's a lot of information out there. And we'll move to the next slide. Got some national brief statistics, and then I'm going to talk more about what's happening here at Horizon House. In terms of fall statistics nationally, there is about 1 in 4 adults, or about 28% of those 65 and better, who report falling each year. Those are those who report it. I have full confidence there is a greater number, because there are many here and outside who don't report their falls. So this is pretty staggering, just what we know about. This also translates to about 36 million falls per year. 30% of those reported falling report an injury that required medical assistance, and they have experienced restriction with their abilities for at least 1 day. I'm also going to share some Horizon House data. So if we can go to the next slide. Curious to see if this is a surprise to you or not. So for 2021, we had a total of 54 reported, again, confident there were more than that, for independent living residents in 2021. We had 77 total falls in assisted living, for a total of 131 for the community. In 2021, we had a total of 14 independent living residents who required a hospitalization following a fall. 2 in assisted living required hospitalization, for a total of 16. For this year, so far through June, we have a total of 66 independent living residents who have fallen. And how we typically know for independent living residents is when a nurse has been dispatched. And our nurses are required to document a note of the visit, what type of assistance they provided, the time they arrived, and I track all of that information. And we do record and track falls. So this is how we are aware of this data. So far in assisted living through June, we have a total of 42 falls, and year to date through June, 108. So I have a feeling, unfortunately, that we're probably going to surpass 2021 in terms of number of falls. So far for this year, we have 5 independent living residents who have required hospitalization and 2 for assisted living. Typically, what I'm seeing for the hospitalizations for both independent and assisted living are usually fractures, ranging from pelvic to hip. We've seen a couple of shoulder fractures. Sometimes I see good results in terms of recovery. And unfortunately, oftentimes I don't see a full return to the baseline or their pre-fall abilities. So with our underlying health conditions at play, a fall tends to exacerbate underlying health conditions. And I especially see that for our residents and individuals with cognitive impairment and dementia. Typically, we do see an elevation or escalation of that underlying dementia process. So Andrew is going to come share with you more of the details about the type of equipment and programs, some of which have already been at play for a long time with wellness, but we want to bring more and more focus to balance and fall prevention. Because as you can see, this is a real challenge, not only here, but across the land. Andrew.
Thank you, Lori. And also something else to touch on is once you have fallen, you are at such a higher risk of falling again. So this is another reason why I think it's really important that we look at this. Now that Lori's done all the doom and gloom, I'll try to brighten it up a little bit. First off, if anybody hasn't met me yet, I am Andrew. I'm the new wellness director. I don't bite, at least too hard. Some of the people who have seen me in the classes do say I do torture a little bit. I see you staring, Karen. But yeah, let's get into it a little bit. So one thing that Celerina did touch on already was the Infinity Rehab is moving to the old human resources area. that is going to be done. That renovation and move should be done very, very soon. We'll make sure everybody knows that when it is completed so that we know if you're going to see them, you know where to go to. Along with that, we do currently, before I came in and as we keep going forward, we have many different land and aqua-based classes that are going to be really looking at trying to help with functional aging. And then, of course, all the new equipment we have coming in. So I'll start with the equipment. Right now, we have about 3-4 different pieces of equipment that have already been purchased and either are here or are on their way. One of them is called a Senso machine. Don't worry, I'll get into a little bit more. The other one's a Kaiser functional trainer. And then we have some new parallel bars and parallel bars with stairs. Going to the Senso machine, it's gonna look fancy and high tech. Is it up there? Ah, yes. So the Senso machine. The Senso machine, I'm kind of gonna read right off of what they wrote on their website. It's the latest technology that turns balance and coordination training into real-time data and fun through interactive games. So really what it is you see that platform there. That platform is set up to a little TV in the front. As you're balancing or standing on the platform, it'll take real-time data of where your weight is shifted. So if you're more lean back on the heels, it will be able to see that. Same thing side to side. Then from there, it'll give you kind of a data of a starting point of where you should start your balance and games that with the machine can help progress that balance. So it's pretty cool. I really think so. It's not completely up yet. We hope to get it up very soon though. Going to our functional trainer. I think a lot of you, if you've been in the gym, you have seen this piece of equipment. We've been starting to use it in a lot of our classes as well. So the functional trainer is much like any other cable machine. The big difference with the functional trainer is that it's all air pressure based. So with those old cable machines, you have those big weights. They're kind of clunky, hard to change. This one is just a press of a button. Along with that, because it is air pressure based, the pull of the motion is even throughout the whole motion, where some of those cables with the big weights get clunky again as you go in and out. So this functional trainer really helps do everything you can really think of from upper body to lower body in one compact new unit. Going to the next two, so we already do have some parallel bars. The new change that we're going to get with these new parallel bars are their hydraulics. So it's easier to move the bars up or down depending on your height, your capabilities, and what you need. And then along with that, we have a new kind of staircase because as we know here, we don't just go in one plane of motion, right? We need to go up and down stairs. We need to move left and right. So I think it was very, very important to get in something to train that in a safe area. So just getting in some of those staircases to help train that. Going to some of the programs we currently have, we do have Aquadonna, we have Posture and Balance, and then I also did put out a new class schedule, which can be found on HH Connect. So Posture and Balance really centers around exactly what it sounds like. We really work on our posture and our balance. It's about a 45-minute class. The first half is a warm-up followed by some postural strengthening exercises, some lower body strengthening exercises, and then once you're all tired, then we make you balance. Again, it's very important that we do things that we do in normal life, right? It's the best way to get benefits and help prevent falls is to mimic what we do in real life in a safe area. So that's kind of what Posture and Balance is. Aquadonna teaches 2 classes. One is a more aerobics-based aqua class in the pool, and the other one is more gentle aerobics-based, really for therapy. Donna wanted me to tell you guys that please come. She loves meeting everybody here. If you're really worried about balance, start with the gentle class. They really focus on core strengthening, which our core being the building block of our body, right? It connects our 2 hemispheres, is so important to helping with balance and staying functional. And then along with that, again, like I kind of just touched on a little bit, we do have the new class schedule out. It's on HH Connect. for the most part, there hasn't been any big changes. Give it a try. Come down to the fitness center. Don't be scared of me. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me with anything, and I will make sure I can help you, direct you to whatever class may be best, personal training if that may be best, so on and so forth. Finally, we are hoping to do a big kind of cut for the Beam Center. We're still a little iffy on the dates, trying to get in all of the equipment necessary, move out equipment that we need to make room for the new equipment. And so we're looking at somewhere in November. I'll make sure that everybody is updated as soon as we can figure out when we can get all that information and all that equipment out and learn how to use it for ourselves. But yeah, that's kind of the new fun Beam Center. If anybody ever has any questions on it, again, just reach out. And I'm very, very excited to get it going. I think I'm going to be calling Lori back up again. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Andrew. You know, just when I think we've had the best wellness team, it just continues getting better and better and better. So thank you, Andrew, Deborah, and Brian Carr. They do just a terrific, terrific job. So thank you. It's great. Go check it out. Definitely do. Just some quick highlights in terms of flu vaccines. So we had our first flu vaccine clinic recently on September 21st. I'm really thrilled that we were able to serve 217 residents with the flu vaccine, and we were able to accommodate 18 employees. The next and final flu vaccine clinic will be coming up on October 26. We will open registration through the front desk closer to that time, so please hold on those calls. We need to first hear from Bartels what the final schedule will be, and please be assured we will announce that in the alert and the different communication channels sometime in October when you can start calling to register. To location will be a little trickier. We had the opportunity in between the renovations to use the space Infinity Rehab will be moving to. They will be in that space come October 26th. So we'll figure something out to accommodate October 26th for assisted living residents and any additional independent residents who would like to get that done. COVID-19 bivalent boosters. I know it's the big question we all have. I am very sorry to share that it is not looking promising right now that there is going to be enough quantity available for a provider to come on site to do a booster clinic for us. I've been working with Bartels. They shared when they were recently here for the flu vaccine that they are very slowly getting quantity in. And I know that's the case everywhere right now because many of you have reached out to say, where can I find an appointment? It is slow to be produced. The manufacturers are behind since this got approved for emergency use. So I think it's going to be a little bit of time before there is more volume of this trickling into pharmacies and clinics. So for now, Bartels is not guaranteeing they can provide us with an on-site booster clinic. I am hoping to push to get something on site for assisted living residents because it is harder for a majority of those residents to travel out. I also have checked in with Virginia Mason, who many of you know has graciously come through with previous vaccine clinics for us, and they are not yet sure that they are going to provide any kind of a public booster event. I do have coming in the alert today. It should be up on HH Connect soon and through the digital video and all of the different communication channels. A couple of links, and I think it may be showing on the very bottom of the screen, and again, be assured it will be in the alert. I did include a link, is through the Department of Health. You can click on it, enter your zip code. I've been putting in 90101 to see what's showing, and that is a great website to click on so that you can look to see what nearby areas to Horizon House are offering appointments. I can tell you some are 12 plus days out. It is very difficult right now to find appointments because there's just not enough supply yet. So keep checking that link. I also did check in Kelly Ross Pharmacy, which is not too far away. They have just recently received some Moderna boosters. I know that was primarily available right now are Pfizer boosters. I did check. There were a few appointments for next Wednesday, October 5th. Don't rush out of the room. But there are a few appointments on October 5th for the Moderna, but then not again for quite some time. So keep checking that website. I certainly will keep you updated if I am able to secure any provider who can come on site at a later time. I do want to request that if any of you receive a COVID booster or a flu shot outside of Horizon House, if you would be so kind as to email me or leave me a voicemail, whichever is easiest, and let me know the date of when you received either. I don't need to know the location. I don't need to know which type of booster, if it was Pfizer or Moderna, just the date, because we are continuing to track that for the community. And I know many of you appreciate hearing those statistics to understand what's the protection in the community. I got myself an appointment tomorrow to get the double jab. I'm doing both the bivalent and the flu vaccine tomorrow, and that's up close to my home in Linwoods, and it took a lot of searching. So keep searching. There are some appointments, and I anticipate over time more will be available. And finally, for open enrollment, I'm sure many of you are getting your Medicare booklets. I've heard some of you say your ARP information is coming out. So we in the past have worked with SHIBA, which is the Statewide Health Insurance Benefits Advisor, SHIBA. Prior to the pandemic, we used to be able to secure a SHIBA presenter to come out to Horizon House and provide an overview of the different options that are available during open enrollment, different Medicare Advantage plans. And with COVID, they still have not returned. I have been working with the SHIBA representative who is continuing to try to find a volunteer presenter to come and present. I'm working with the Sam Stone out of the King County SHIBA office. He said that they are still very low on volunteers returning because of COVID, and just sent me an email yesterday for requesting an update. And he is still trying to find a speaker. If he is fortunate to find one, it would not be until November. However, any one of you can call the number. It's up here, and it will be in the alert as well today. You can call the number or email and have free consultation and education on the different plans and discuss your personal needs around your pharmaceutical needs, your health condition in terms of what your utilization of medical health services might be for the coming year. And they can help provide some guidance. So take advantage of that at least. I also understand that our human resources department has been able to line up for employees because we do have employees here who are Medicare eligible. And so we're talking about expanding some access to a speaker who may be coming on site for employees to open that up for residents as well, Medicare enrollment. So stay tuned. If we can line up a speaker through a different agency, we certainly will do so. So any questions at this juncture on flu, COVID, or SHIBA? And Karen, we've got a microphone coming to you.
Lori, what are the exact dates of open enrollment?
I know it opens October 1 and closes, I don't know the specific date. It's a good question. I believe it's in early December. Do any residents know what the specific cutoff date is for open enrollment by chance? I apologize, I don't have that information, but I believe it's early December.
On the slide for the flu and COVID boosters, there was a line that said mix vaccine types. Is that the recommendation now, that if you had one before, have the other now?
Great question. So the question is it okay to mix boosters? It is absolutely okay to mix boosters. On CDC, it is recommended for the primary vaccines, which most of you have had already, to stay with the same type. So in other words, if your the very first vaccine was Pfizer, stay with Pfizer for the second, or Moderna, stay with Moderna. When you get into the boosters, you can mix and match. So I know some of you who have had Moderna all the way through are wanting to wait for Moderna because Moderna is behind with manufacturing and supply. It is absolutely acceptable to get Pfizer. There has not been a recommendation out of CDC that it is best to mix, but you can mix if you choose to do so. Thank you. I forgot to mention that point. Any other questions before we move on? All right, Nancy McReynolds up. Fran, a microphone's coming.
I understand from this presentation that HR is moving into the clinic space, and that translates to me as we have no hope to have a clinic at Horizon House. And given the statistics on falls, et cetera, I think that is, dare I say, outrageous not to have a clinic on site.
So the question is, with HR moving, or the comment, with HR moving to the former clinic space, does that mean there is no hope of having a clinic? At this point in time, the clinic closed back in February. What has not ever gone away is your access to a nurse. That is predominantly what the clinic provided, was access to a nurse. So you continue to have access to a nurse 24/7, as I'm sure most of you are aware. When you activate your pendant, pull cord in the bathroom, or call reception for a nurse, they are dispatched from assisted living. And so our nurses are dispatched for any variety of reasons, for I'm not feeling well, to I'm not sure if I have COVID, can you test me? I don't have a test kit, to I just came back from the hospital and I need a bandage change. There are a variety of reasons, and we do have a number of residents calling for the nurses. So that is your access point. In terms of falls, that is also something our nurses are responding to. I mentioned earlier that when a resident reports a fall and needs assistance, our nurses are responding to those falls. It is difficult to operate a clinic in this kind of environment. Senior living communities do not have clinics. And fortunately, because of our geographical location, we are situated so close to the major medical institutions, it's been hard to justify having the clinic with such low utilization. So that was why when the clinic nurse resigned and moved on back in early February, we made the decision, especially with the labor market, did not make sense to continue operating a clinic. So Fran, I'm happy to talk to you at a separate time if there are some specific needs you feel are not being met. Definitely come see me. All right, another question, Pat.
Could you clarify what services can be given by that nurse? For example, a bandage change when somebody has a cancer removed on their back and needs a bandage change?
So the question is clarification on what the nurses can provide. We primarily want to preserve the nursing resources for emergencies, because keep in mind, these are nurses coming from assisted living. And so certainly for emergency triage, I've had a fall, or I fell and got myself up, but I have a little bit of a skin tear. If you could look at it, I mentioned earlier, if you're not feeling well, but it doesn't feel like a 911 situation, we have residents who call for the nurse to say, you know, I'm not feeling quite right. I don't think this is a 911 situation, but I'm not really sure. So our nurses come equipped with blood pressure cuff, for example, thermometer. And we do have occasions where a resident has returned, for example, from a biopsy and needs a bandage change. That is okay. However, if there's going to be a routine bandage change for a while, this is where I mentioned 2 or 3 fireside chats ago. We want to work with you to coordinate through Erica Campbell, a care connector. That's where we want to align you with either home care for bandage changing or through home health nursing. So we want to protect our AL nursing time to not be pulled to do routine services like routine bandage changes. We do have some residents who require bandage changes every week for 2 months. That would not be the best use of our assisted living nurse time. And there are resources through home care and nurse delegation and home health nursing. That was all outlined and distributed to everyone a few months ago. And that is also available on HH Connect in terms of a lot of those resources we put together. All right, good question. Thank you, Pat. All right, Nancy McReynolds with an update from the Residents Council.
Good morning. I am Nancy McReynolds and a member of the Residents Council. Oops, that better? How's that? I'm here today to talk with you about one of the most important things that we as residents do each year. I want to tell you about the Employee Recognition Fund, sometimes referred to as ERF. For those of you who may be new to Horizon House, this fund, created entirely by donations from our residents, is divided among our full-time employees in early December each year. This year, the date is December 4, when our employees can invite their families to Horizon House for a party and be presented with their checks. Each employee, with the exception of executive staff, will receive a check based on their number of hours worked, not on their level of pay. The drive begins October 1, which is tomorrow, and runs through November 15. Checks received after November 15 will be added to next year's drive. All Horizon House residents will receive a letter in their cubby later today. This letter will ask you to make a contribution to the Employee Recognition Fund. Included with the letter will be a donation form to be completed by you and a return envelope. This completed form should be placed in the return envelope and put in the box provided for this purpose in the mailroom. As it will be as you enter the mailroom, it's on the wall on your right at the far end. And there'll be a sign that designates it. You can expect to receive a written acknowledgement of your donation in your cubby within a few days. I don't need to tell you that the past 2.5 years has not only been challenging for residents, but especially challenging for our employees. They have been short-staffed, working long hours, and some of them covering the jobs of 2 people. They don't receive tips, and we are discouraged from giving them any kind of personal gifts. Our employees play a major role in why we all enjoy living at Horizon House. I'm sure you agree that they deserve this token of our gratitude. Last year, 92% of our employees contributed to the fund. There are no guidelines as to how much is an appropriate amount. Just let your heart be your guide. I encourage you to be generous. However, no gift is too small. The Residents Council is looking forward to handing these checks to our employees as a token of your appreciation for all they do to enrich our lives. If you have any questions about this, you can contact me or Sally Wren, and I'd be happy to talk with you. I would also like to alert you to 2 other Resident Council events that will be occurring this month. The Residents Council will again be hosting a happy hour in the Fireside Lounge next Friday, October 7, from 4 to 5:30. Do come to enjoy a beverage and some very tasty hors d'oeuvres prepared by our capable kitchen staff. The Residents Council recognizes that we have been isolated for over the past 2.5 years and is providing this opportunity to socialize with your friends and perhaps make some new friends. Another opportunity to celebrate our new beginning will be the annual Halloween party for residents and staff on Thursday, October 27 in the Fireside Lounge. It will be held from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Costumes are encouraged. However, even if you aren't into costumes, do come anyway and enjoy the creativity of our residents. I promise you, you will be both surprised and entertained. Thank you. And I don't know who's next, so I guess Brian House.
Thank you, Nancy. I know that the community looks forward to these things she's talking about, the generosity of the residents for the staff and the joy that we see in the residents when they get to do that opportunity. And certainly the happy hours, who doesn't like a party, and the Halloween. And good thing I didn't wear my costume today, but it's Blue Friday and some of our fellow Seahawk fans have their blue on, but I have my Mariner colors on today. That you may or may not know that our magic number is 1 to make the playoffs after 21 years. That was before I was drinking age. Okay, that's not true, but maybe you'll lift a glass of wine. If we win today, then we'll be in the playoffs for the wild card. So it's very exciting. We're crossing our fingers. We may make the number 1 seed and host some baseball games here at Seattle Stadium. So that'd be fantastic. So I want to talk about safety and security for Horizon House and our community. It's a theme we've had on numerous occasions that I've talked about. And I wanted to talk about a few incidences that occurred that then have resulted in some changes that'll happen that impacts the community. So in August, we actually had some resident storage lockers get broken into and items stolen out of storage lockers. Unfortunately, what happened was this person got a resident card key to gain access into some of our exterior doors. So the resident lost their key, or somehow this person found the key, and it took us a little while to figure out how this person was getting in, but unfortunately that was how this individual gained access. So we had probably half a dozen residents that were impacted and their storage lockers were damaged and items were stolen out of their storage lockers. Just a few weeks ago, we also had an individual, if you look down near our loading dock where the wall is going up to the secret garden, we had an individual climb that wall, go over the barbed wire area or near the barbed wire, got into the secret garden, entered the university garage. And unfortunately, on some of our occasions, we had valets leaving keys in vehicles. This individual came to that vehicle and stole the resident's vehicle. It was very unfortunate for us, but we've had these incidents that have happened that made us take a look at what can we do to make things more safe for all of us in the city where we're seeing more crime and more unfortunate circumstances that make us make these changes. Actually, just this week, we had somebody come in this side door right over here. We had some residents came in and use the door nearest Myrtle Edwards, which is an ADA door. So it'll open. It's required to stay open for a period of time for those of us that have mobility challenges. And the residents didn't pause to look at the door, and somebody followed them in, went into the men's restroom, and our staff responded and eventually got the individual out. So unfortunately, these things are occurring to make us want to remind everybody and educate you of some of the changes that we're doing. One of the things that the organization committed to is that we are going to increase our staffing of security, where today we have security officers just on night shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. But the leaders met and talked about that we believe it's important enough right now that we're going to have a security officer every day during the day, a security officer every day in the evening, and we're going to increase the number of security staff we have during that night shift. So that was a big commitment for us, but we believe that it's important for our staff, for our community, and for all of us to do that at a time right now when we're having situations happen in the city and near our community and unfortunately touching our community. Based on that vehicle that was stolen and the individual getting in down there at the secret garden, those of you that have garden plots now in that area should have been issued a key, because we lock that gate at all times and ask that you lock it when you're done doing your gardening. In addition, we met with the fencing company to enhance the fencing on that area, to extend it so that it'll mitigate an individual trying to get into that area. So those repairs on the fencing, we're waiting on materials, but that is something that we're looking to do. Working with Brian Byers and Michael, our valet supervisor, they have been working really hard with the valets, and there is a new system that they're doing to secure all of the vehicles and the keys in our university garage. And so if you do use that service, perhaps it may take a little bit longer as the adjustment and those changes are done. But as we do other security changes, we believe the inconvenience outweighs the circumstances that happened for the resident that had their vehicle stolen. Incidentally, they have been extremely cooperative and understanding, which makes it easier on us as staff when these difficult things happen. One of the big changes that may impact you perhaps is that every apartment currently has the ability to have 10 card keys for your apartment. We will be reducing that to 4. And eventually we'll get to a point when we have a new access control as every individual has 1 key. And with the new system, that makes it much easier for us and easier for you to have that. So over the next week, 2 weeks, we'll be modifying it down to 4 keys for every individual. If you have more than 4 keys, we'll reach out to you, have you bring those keys down, and we'll set it back up so you have no more than that. The other thing is, because we can make these changes to the number of keys, we'll also be making changes to our perimeter doors. They're locked always now and you need your card key, but if we have another situation where a apartment or staff key falls in the wrong hands, we're going to make it so that if you're walking, you can't even get through certain perimeter doors between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. I've done door audits on these external doors, meaning looking at when people come through them, and we don't have residents coming through our perimeter doors on foot past 10 p.m. or prior to 5 a.m. We can certainly adjust that, but that'll be a change we'll be implementing soon as well. And we'll put signage on those impacted exterior doors so that we know that you'll know as you come and go through those doors what that timing is. There is a memo that I have generated that will be distributed today. So you'll be getting a few memos today, one that summarizes the incidents that occurred and what the changes that I've described, so that those that didn't make it to the Fireside chat, and you'll have a reminder of those changes. So you can jump to the next slide. So these are some reminders that if you lose your card key, let staff know as soon as possible so that we can take measures to ensure that we can make that key no longer work. And if you walk through the main entrance, as a reminder, there's a card key opener out there that we ask that you use that. Or if you forget your key by chance, there's an intercom where you can directly communicate to Reese's team at the front desk and that they can let you in. If you just forget your card key in the apartment and need to gain access to your apartment, you can come to the reception center and we'll make you a temporary key that is, instead of green, it has the red colors on it, and then you turn that back into the reception center after you use it to gain entry. We'll put maybe 30 minutes or an hour on that key for it to work, then it'll stop working. And so as a reminder on the next slide, as we come to all the entrances when we come through, like I described happened earlier this week, be aware of people that are around you when you're coming in and out of the building. Down on E level, those are ADA doors. They take a little longer as well. And at the main entrance, as you're exiting, the motion sensors will automatically open those doors as you approach them on both those glass sliding doors. And if it looks like you see something on the exterior through the window that doesn't look safe, then maybe pause and don't exit the building, because those doors will open and then somebody can walk in. If you use our parking garages and drive, as you're entering or exiting, we ask that you pause before pulling down in the Terry garage or exiting to make sure the doors close behind us. If we have valets in the area at University Garage, then we don't need to pause necessarily because our staff are right there. And then we remind residents to keep your apartment doors closed and secured. Heaven forbid somebody gets in, and heaven forbid it's happened before, and they go up the stairwell and they're in your corridor and your door is ajar. They can gain access to your apartment, obviously. So it unfortunately has happened before, and we just want to do all that we can as a team in the community to maintain the safety around Horizon House. And on the final slide about safety and security, if you see something that doesn't seem or feel right, let us know. I have been here for many years. The residents are not afraid to speak up, and please, under these circumstances, do that. Do speak up and let us know. And then on the next slide, we have coming up on October 20th for the employees is the Great Washington Shakeout. It's our earthquake drill that we'll be doing on Thursday morning near 10 a.m. And so if you see staff with hard hats and high resolution vests and backpacks running around on that morning, that is our exercise for an earthquake. So what you can do as a resident to participate is in the directory, it has reminders of what to do to prepare or during an earthquake. Review that. Think about what you would do to prepare in advance, or if there was an earthquake, remember we drop, cover, and hold on. Think about your out of area contacts. Some of those things that you can do is your way of participating and thinking about it on the Great Washington Shakeout that we have coming up on the 20th. So that's a big, exciting event for our staff. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. We talked about some teams. Oh, we have a question. She's bringing a microphone, and what her question was.
Which garden is the secret garden?
The secret garden is a secret. I can't tell you. But the garden committee wants me to tell you, it is on E level. There's a garden that is accessed from E level near the Monday Market, walking through the garage, and there are 12 garden plots there and a sculpture. And so it is called the secret garden because it's kind of a secret spot, but it has an opportunity where this person climbed. Another question?
Yes, there are an awful lot of workmen coming and going all the time through all the doors. And sometimes when they come in, they don't have a badge that's, obvious.
Sure.
And we look at them and think, well, they look like workmen, and they're going up to the 19th floor, wherever they're going.
Sure.
But I think it would be really good if we felt better about just asking, just saying, what project are you on? Or how's it going in the Anderson Hall or something?
Sure.
I don't know if that would do anything, but they don't always, their badges and their stuff isn't showing.
So comment is we have a lot of work going on here with Anderson Construction, their subs, all the apartment renovations we're doing. The expectation is that they go through the screening kiosk and they should have a sticker that shows they were COVID screened, and it should have their name on there. And that would be for all guests and visitors visiting you as well. I will send a reminder to those teams that they ought to do that. And it's appropriate for residents to say, hi, how are you? Did you lose your sticker? We don't need you to police it, but if you see something, you can also come let me know that you see a pattern of that. And Eli's excellent about following up with those folks, as is Sean with those teams. And so we'll certainly send out a reminder. Anne Marie?
Yeah, if the access to the secret garden is via the fence, why do we lock the door for the gardeners?
The question is if somebody climbs that fence and can get into the secret garden and we're going to put extended fencing there, why lock the garden? Because I have witnessed individuals will throw a blanket or their sleeping bag over the barbed wire if they really, really want to get in. So we're doing that as an extra way to mitigate somebody getting in, to protect our community even more. And if you do just want to go down there, enjoy the space, the reception center has a key that you can go and get the key from the reception center, go down to the E-garden, lock the gate, and go back and turn the key back into the E-level garden. Another question over here then.
Yeah, are you concerned that this is on the subject of securing apartment doors? Are you concerned that the housekeepers leave the doors open for the 2 hours plus that they're in your apartment?
So the question is, if I have a housekeeper in my apartment, they leave the door ajar to go and get their materials in and out. Is that something concerning? Well, they should close it, and I will remind that team that they should do that. So they leave it open. So I'll talk to that team about it. The other thing is, we'll do that. Staff need to do our part, and so we'll do that. So one last question over here, then I think, oh no, I still have time. I'm done. Okay, so
You have more to go.
yeah, we have many more items to go. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the one that had the car stolen, and I just want to thank Brian for his fabulous support that he's given me throughout this process, which was a trauma for everyone in the garage and everyone associated here. Thank you, Brian.
They have been very understanding, and we're appreciative. So
I use these side doors very frequently, early in the morning and late at night. And I stand and wait until the door closes. But then I think to myself, what'll I do? I don't want to confront someone who wants to come in and burgle the place.
Sure.
So what exactly should I do?
Okay, so I'll try to be swift because our agenda is running over, but it's important. For one, if you don't need the ADA door, use the other door to come in so the door doesn't stay open. If you use the ADA door, that's fine, and you stand and wait for it to close. Thank you very much. If somebody comes in, go let the reception center know. Don't try to encounter anybody. If you feel unsafe, go and let the reception center know. Describe what the individual looks like, and they will know who to call and take care of it. So I was talking about teams. One of the greatest teams is coming up right now from philanthropy. Oh my gosh, give it up for these ladies.
Good morning, and thank you for hanging out here. We have gone a little bit over, so we will be as brief as we can. I am Charlene Hutchinson, and this is Ruth Ann Ford, and together we are the philanthropy team. We're responsible for the Partners in Caring campaign that raises funds for residence assistance, staff scholarships, and GEM grants. One of the components of Partners in Caring is the Heritage Society, and Heritage Society donors are comprised of people who have updated their estate plans to include Horizon House or have given a cash gift of $10,000 or more to the endowment, or have assigned Horizon House as a beneficiary on a retirement account. Next slide. We're happy to say that we are at 104 members in the Heritage Society. We appreciate that support. Next slide. One way that we like to thank our Heritage Society members is to invite them to a dinner, an annual dinner. And that dinner is scheduled for early December so that we can use the performance hall once all the renovations are completed. If you have recently updated your estate plans, and let us know, and we will also honor you. Fun fact, I like to call them fun facts. So far this year, we have received almost $2 million towards our endowment from fulfilled estate plans. It's a fantastic, fantastic piece of news. Next slide. These are some photos from the Heritage Society dinner, a few photos that we'd like to share. Yep, so get back that one up just a bit. And Ruth Ann is going to share some information about some of the recipients of residence assistance. Thank you. Oh yes, if you want more information, please contact me and I'm happy to meet with you and have coffee or lunch and tell you everything you want to know. Thanks.
Good morning and happy Friday. So residence assistance is our biggest source of the philanthropy here. So far this year, $346,000 has been used to support our Horizon House residents in need. Recipients of residence assistance have outlived their resources through no fault of their own. Here are a couple of profiles about residents who use this support. The program is completely confidential, so the names have been changed. So Charlie here lived here for 11 years before just needing assistance for 6 months. And that's really happens pretty frequently. People just need assistance for a little bit. And then Peggy was an active community member. The next slide. She was here for 17 years, participating at Horizon House in the various programs and activities, and needed assistance because she was struggling with dementia and needed to move to assisted living. So we just wanted to thank everyone for their support of this really, really special program here at Horizon House. And I will introduce Joan Hudson. Thank you.
It's always something. Hi, everyone. Try to be brief because I know that we have gone over. So I think we need a slide. Can anybody tell me who this is? Joan Rivers, you're right. And can anyone tell me her, this is a bonus question, her famous catchphrase? Can we talk? Yes. So here I am wanting to talk to you about the ways we communicate with you, better known as our communication channels. Now, there are lots of ways to communicate. Some are better than others. Next. For example, we don't send info via the Goodyear blimp. You'd have to be looking up all the time. We don't write messages on stone tablets. They're so darn heavy. And really, they're kind of old school. And receiving information by carrier pigeon is difficult, especially if your windows are closed, not to mention the mess. So all kidding aside, we do have effective channels of communication, and here they are. Now, the good news is you don't have to read this chart because a copy is waiting for you in your mail cubbies, okay? Hopefully this will help put things in context for how we communicate various pieces of information. The chart shows each of the channels, their purpose, and how they're published. On the flip side of the chart is who to contact with questions. Now, please note, communications department manages all channels save one. HHTV, because it is operated at the front desk, that is managed through the front desk by Risa Ransom. So bottom line, next slide. It's all about serving you. We strive to be accurate, timely, clear, and consistent. Are we perfect? No, but we try. The range, we know that there's a range of preference for how residents like to receive their information. That's why we have various channels. So short of the Goodyear blimp, we do our best to serve you through the existing channels. Another thing to remember is that we cross-post information. There is not going to be only one place where some information is. So we post on various channels in order to be able to encompass the most of you. And where needed, we will provide training. So what the Joan Rivers part here is, you know, you have to avail yourself of the channels to be able to get the information, okay? So next, new topic. There's been a recent adjustment to my job title. I'm taking on marketing functions. So I want to just briefly touch on that. So what is marketing? So at its core, really at its core, it's an exchange of values. Does a potential resident value what we value and what we have to offer? Who is our target market? How do we reach them? How do we engage them? How do we communicate? How do we deliver value? Here's a goofy example. So on the left, you'll see a guy who's hitchhiking, and his sign just gives his destination. On the other side, on the right, which I've labeled marketing, it's the same guy, but now it says to moms for Christmas. He's giving the motorist more interesting information. He's showing he's not a scary hitchhiker. It's, oh, how sweet. He's going to see his mom. I like that. Gosh, I need to call my own mom. It's Christmas, a time of goodwill. I'll pick him up. Okay, so it's that difference in how things are presented and how they're valued. So let's go to the next slide. What's the difference between marketing and sales? Because sometimes they get mixed up and actually have been at Horizon House in a sense. Sales are those activities that directly engage prospects in the process of becoming Horizon House residents. Okay, Valerie and Andrew, okay, it's answering questions on the phone, it's touring, it's talking about floor plans, it's answering a various variety of questions, it's helping with the financial situations, it's helping with paperwork. All of those functions are sales. Marketing supports sales efforts through strategies that seek to raise awareness of and interest in Horizon House among targeted audiences. So, my colleague Andrew Harris is the director of sales. That is separate from marketing communications. However, we constantly handshake and collaborate in terms of attracting new residents to Horizon House. Last topic is just an update. The training wheels are still rolling. Back in July, I reported that we had about 130 new users of the K4 app. Well, I now like to report that we have 59 new users of Alexa Voice. Emily Wallace, who does the training for Alexa, has reported that many residents who already use Alexa a little bit have come to the classes and have reported that they've gotten a lot of clarity by coming to the class and learning a little bit more about Alexa and the Echo Dot. The classroom focus is on practice. And I don't know if anybody here has been to an Alexa class, but they're just a ton of fun. We do lots of practicing, lots of questions. They're usually very lively sessions. And periodic training will continue. It's not on a rigid schedule, but we will continue to do periodic training. And so with that, I am finished. And I would like to introduce the one, the only, Eli Lemansky.
Thank you, Joan. So now everybody's favorite topic, campus disruptions. Improvements, I meant. So anybody here living in the Central Tower? Okay, right. So yeah, campus disruptions. We'll start with the Reclad project though. This is, what one resident has termed the most unfortunate project ever, but I assure you it is now, we're on the final stretch. Anybody who witnessed the crane this last Saturday, it's now removed. The material hoist on the roof is removed. And that very special darling scaffold that was embellishing our sidewalk is now gone. So these are all huge accomplishments. Beth no longer has a blocked view or Mike's offices. So, but what I'd still, but there's still a couple of items. You'll notice if you take a peek into the kitchenette, we redid, we cleared out all the equipment in the kitchenette. That stuff is on a 6-month order. So this is where it just becomes this never-ending project. I think if we go on to the next project, Anderson Hall. Let's see. So originally we were hoping to have it finished by Veterans Day, and kind of celebrate Admiral Hayward. And unfortunately, we are suffering delays. A lot of residents heard about the cast iron pipes, the drain pipes that were installed just 15 years ago. Well, they need to be replaced. Apparently, they were made of, frankly, shoddy materials. But it's good that we pulled the ceiling down and noticed this. However, that's not what's delaying the project. The delay is caused by the movable partitions that separate the rooms. Those suffered an additional 6-week delay. So November 22nd is when those will arrive, and we'll do our best to get them installed right away and open the space up in time for the employee recognition party on December 4th. And then lastly, the Central and East Tower corridors. Okay, so there's been a lot of core drilling to create that electrical backbone. The workers are now going to pull wire. This is going to go on till December, but it'll be a lot less noisy than all that core drilling that they've been doing. The more significant part of what's going on right now with the Central Tower project is the thermostat replacement. So we, with the colder weather coming, we're going to stop our replacement of the valves and thermostats and fill the system back up with water. And when this happens, historically leaks occur, due to the new pressure in the system. This is normal, and unfortunately, though, it requires us going into every apartment to verify if anything's leaking. And if it is leaking, hopefully we can just tighten things up without draining the system again and doing extensive work. So I really apologize, or I'm sorry for this type of disruption, for people who are living in the Central Tower and need to suffer this. But we really appreciate your cooperation to let workers into your apartment. The refill will occur, I believe, next Tuesday. Right. Oh, wiring closets. Oh, okay. So the wiring closets, I believe there's a small area right next to the laundry room. We're on floors 7, 14, and 18. It'll just be this like 2 foot by 3 foot closet that that the low volt wiring will terminate, so that we're providing No, it doesn't affect, it'll just be a disruption. You'll get off the elevator. You may see workers trying to frame this closet, and just giving you an FYI of what's going on. Let's see. And then when we will actually start the corridor finishes, hopefully before the end of the year, new carpet, new lighting, new paint. And and then finally, we have a comment box. So if anybody has any questions or topics that you think I should be mentioning during these fireside chats, please provide those suggestions. Thank you so much. Next is Jeff Townley from Dining Services. My vocabulary is limited to 4-letter words. Dining Services, Jeff Townley.
All right, thanks, Eli. All right, we have our slide up. Let's start off like we normally do. We've had a few fun events going on in the month of August. In September, we had Labor Day, which wrapped up our barbecue picnic season for the outside anyways. And that was a real nice event, a lot of fun, good food. We did Oktoberfest last week, had some nice pork schnitzel, warm pretzels, brought some Oktoberfest beer in. I think people really enjoyed that, and that was a fun event as well. And then, like Nancy was mentioning, we've had the couple of the happy hours going on, and those have been very popular and successful. This whole room in here has been just filled up with people and great food, and Oliver making some really nice drinks for everyone. So if you haven't had a chance to come down for one of those events, please do on this next week. So it should be a lot of fun. Next slide, not so much of a fun slide to talk about. We've been talking all year about inflation and all those sort of things. And so I wanted to just put up a couple statistics that kind of we have on our end. You know, for food, so far we're at about 11% increase. Food at home is 13.5%, while food away is at 8%. Those are some pretty big increases from what we've been used to. You see down a little lower the meat, poultry, fish, eggs, 10%. And then it breaks it down even more below that. Coffees, 17%. Packaging goods, plastics, 15%. So some pretty big increases there. We've tried really hard over the last year and a half since this has been going on to not raise our prices very much, but we're probably going to have to be starting to look at that come 2023. So just want to kind of get that out there so everybody's aware. We're not surprised when we're seeing some of the items on the menu go up a little bit in price, but we'll do our best to keep that as low as we can. And then another thing just to touch on with that, with like the poultry, we were notified back in June, July of the flu that was going on with chickens and turkeys, and a lot of turkeys have been lost this year. And so we were instructed to order our turkeys back in July, which we did. And so we have turkeys on order for Thanksgiving, but you know, we don't know, we might not get all we ordered or whatnot. We're hoping, we think we're in good shape, but just wanted to kind of put that out there that we're ahead of the game on that, and it might still not be good enough for us. So that's the bad news. The good news, if we move on to the next slide, is private dining room. So so we finally do have that all cleared out. Big thanks to Brian Byers and Brian Holtz for helping us get some of that other equipment that we're using for chapel and stuff in there, and they've relocated that for the time being. And so we're ready to open up the private dining room. So a couple of the key points there is we're going to make it available starting October 10th. We ask for a 2-week notice on making reservations in there and setting up events, just so we make sure we have staffing and food and everything that we need for that. It's going to be a maximum of 16 people that can go in that room. It's a $50 room fee, and we can split that amongst everybody dining in there. So if you have 10 people and everybody wants to contribute to that fee, we can split that up very easily. Book through me and Oliver at this point, just in person, while we work through what the best system is. I was hoping we could maybe utilize Open Table for that. I don't think that's going to really work. So I think just in person with Oliver and myself to book that room. And as far as how the menu will work, we'll use the dining room menu, but kind of have like a limited selections from that menu that we can choose from. That just helps us provide a better experience for those events as well. The room also will be available for booking for meetings and things like that outside of the dining hours. So we've communicated all that information with Jessica, the concierge, and I think there'll be information coming out about that in a future alert as well, about how you'd go about renting that room for any other sort of meetings and stuff like that. So I think that's all I got, and we'll finish up with Lori, I think. Oh yeah, go ahead, Ms. Scottson.
There, if you have a meeting there, will there be a charge for that?
That would be no charge for meeting spaces, just for catered events. Yeah, that's a good question though.
Regarding price increases and specifically looking at plastics and paper and all that stuff, I'd like to encourage all of my co-residents, if they know they're going to be taking food home, or if they're coming for a total take home from the buffet, to bring their own containers. We're not limited anymore. COVID is not over, but I think we can do that, right?
Absolutely. That's a great point. We started that initiative several months ago when we were still doing the buffets 7 days a week. And a lot of residents have brought down their own vessels. We do ask that it's a clean vessel. That's not an old to-go box that you had before or anything like that. We want to make sure that we're being safe and everything like that. So try to bring, a clean vessel to put your food in. So a good point. Thank you. Good. Yeah.
But if you're ordering something from the dining room to pick up in a box,
correct,
you don't want us to bring utensils from home to leave with you.
No, it's probably best to keep that out of the kitchen and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So this would be mainly for bistro or
for the buffets,
buffet.
or if you're dining in the dining room and you wanted to bring your own vessel, and then you could put your food in there once you're finished. Yeah. So, all right. Let's go.
Thank you, Jeff. I apologize for the extended meeting. A lot of information to share this month. So thank you for your patience. Just a few quick slides. We'll wrap it up. A couple of quick updates though. Thank you to Dorleen, who let me know December 7th is the cutoff for open enrollment for Medicare. I knew it was early December, so December 7th. And I also am really pleased to share that as of this morning, we have no COVID cases right now in the community. So good news, yes, let's enjoy it while we can. I want to emphasize that the COVID cases we have been realizing are all from exposures outside of Horizon House. So until and unless we realize any kind of intra-community transmission, we're going to stay the course with masks being encouraged. It's optional. I know some of you are wearing them, some of you are not. We'll certainly make adjustments as needed for not only the COVID, but also influenza season, which is coming. We've been spared influenza largely for the last few years because of the extensive mask use. And as more masks are coming off, we can anticipate we may see more presence of influenza. So for some quick fun slides to wrap it up, we had our staff picnic. I think this may have been referenced last month as well, but here's a photo just showing some of the great time that we had for the annual employee picnic. Resident Council celebrated its 60th anniversary. That is fantastic. It was a wonderful turnout for the celebration. So thank you for those who could come. And then the last bright spot, so just featuring assisted living. Assisted living has just come back to life as we have been able to gather a little more easily. I know that many of you are paying close attention to Governor Inslee's mandates that are going to be changing at the end of October. We are not going to be able to change a lot of those mandates in assisted living necessarily. The Department of Health and Governor Inslee are working through what those changes and CDC's recent announcements will mean for assisted living and other long-term care facilities. We don't know yet if screening practices will be able to change. We are waiting urgently to hear from the state what this is going to mean for us in terms of PPE use, protective equipment use in assisted living, as well as testing. So, but despite the fact that those changes are still in process, we have been able to gather more easily. So we've had some art programs back, drum circles, some of our entertainers are returning, and then we had a recent bus outing to Dick's drive-in and ice cream and a trip through the University of Washington. It's been wonderful, wonderful to see activity happening. I'm going to jump ahead and just say that the next Fireside Chat is going to be on Friday, October 28th at 10 a.m. And are there any final burning questions before we wrap it up? And Ina, we have a microphone coming to you.
We have the social worker. What is her job description? In what way can we use her? How does it impact us, in other words?
So great question. Celerina from HR introduced Katrina. She also goes by Rena, social worker. She is predominantly in assisted living. So she replaced Marie Riss, who retired, really did retire. She came back from retirement, I think 3 or 4 times for us. So she is primarily focused in assisted living, and Erica Campbell continues to remain focused for independent living. So the care connector / social worker, and they work very closely together to tag team and be each other's backup. Great question. Thank you, Ina. Looks like Deanna.
Are you going to require employees to get the flu vaccine?
Great question. So we continue to have a mandatory flu vaccine policy for employees, and our HR team is making available to the employees, I think, 4 different on-site employee vaccine opportunities. So absolutely. All right. Thank you for your patience. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine that should be returning for the weekend and have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.